Well, first of all, deadline day now is finally done. Did you have to cope with any late bids for any players or anything on deadline day?
No, very quiet deadline day, which was happy. Got to watch a bit of
Recording in progress.
got to watch a bit of Sky Sports and yeah, just followed everybody else. But no, nothing from our side. So nice and quiet.
How pleasing then that you can go to the rest of the season with your entire squad intact and deadline day all done and dusted.
Yeah, really. I mean, I didn't expect. I said at the start of the window, I'd be very surprised if any clubs had the funds to kind of buy any of the players that we've got in this moment in a January window. I'd be very surprised if there was a realistic bid for one of our players. But of course, there's lots of interest and the players have played well, so you never know, and there's always that level of uncertainty that hangs around. So it's quite nice when the window just closes and everybody can switch off from that and just focus on the jobs and get on with it. And we know what we've got now pretty much until the end of the season, unless of course we have an injury or something like that. Then we're in good shape.
The headline makers, I suppose, in the National League really have been Wrexham with the money that they've spent. 300 grand on Ollie Palmer, to sign Tom O'Connor from Burton as well, late on in the month. What do you make of that? Another National League club and the amount of money they're spending, and how difficult does that make it for other teams to kind of be able to compete, I suppose?
I mean, firstly, Wrexham were bound by the windows, so they had to be a bit more urgent, I guess, in their business. I don't really think too much about other club strategies or money spent or anything like that. Every club has their own strategy for how they want to work. I think Wrexham have obviously got a lot of backing there, and they've been down in this league for many years, and you certainly don't begrudge the kind of supporters there, being able to see big money signings coming in, and that's great. But it in my eyes, we have a strategy. We have a strategy for playing, and we trust in that, and that's their way of doing it. And certainly they're bringing in very good players, but they've still got to make it work out on the pitch, and that's the challenge for the coach then. So I still think it's not always the team that spends the most that is necessarily going out of the league. I think it's going to be a lot of factors that come into play, and you see how tight it is. So. But they're certainly getting stronger, and they'll be definitely up there come the end of the season, I'm sure.
What does it say generally about the National League? Because Wrexham are the only ones, to be fair. Stockport were signing players from League One as well. That we've seen that increasingly this year of players moving from League One down to the National League. I mean, what does that say about football at these levels at the moment? What do you read into that?
What I read into it is actually there's not a huge difference in quality of the football, size of some of the clubs from maybe mid-lower League One all the way down to the top end of the National League. When you look at the size of the fan bases, the clubs and the ambitions as well, it's also clubs that are ambitious not just to go at once but maybe go again, like ourselves. We want to build something now that's sustainable long term, that we want to develop. So players, of course, want to be involved in that. So yeah, players are coming down and playing in this league. I don't think it's the same kind of league that it was maybe 15, 20 years ago when it was generally considered a part-time league. Clubs are very professional, well run, and you can see that by the level of competition. Also think that some clubs want to try to get out as fast as possible, and then they're going to invest big to try and make that happen. So again, that's each club's got their own strategy and prerogative. So we have ours. We stick with that. But yeah, I think it just shows the strength of the league, really.
I think as well, when you look at the sort of football that you play at Notts, and a lot of other teams play, similar football to, as you say, maybe 15, 20 years ago, when there was a lot more physical, a lot more long ball maybe than there is now. And you see players like Vitor Slavieros, who you signed, a player from Liverpool. You're able to attract those kind of players because the sort of football you see in the National League now is so different to what it was 15 years ago.
Yeah, I would say so. I'd say there's a lot of things have changed, but probably stadia and infrastructure and the quality of the pitches, and you go to a lot of. To be fair, we've of course played on some not so great pitches as well, but if you look at ourselves and some of the bigger clubs in the league, and even you going down to like Boreham Wood's pitch is immaculate, and Solihull's pitch is immaculate, and so I think that helps with the kind of football that you want to play. Probably 15, 20 years ago, you look at the Premier League, the pitches weren't great, and now you're looking at our league and saying some of the pitches are decent. So it gives you the ability to play a little bit different ways. So yeah, I think the overall stand, and as the standard at the very, very top of Premier League gets better and better and better, naturally it filters through the system as well. So, like you say, we've got a lot of players that have either been at Premier League clubs or are still there, and we've loaned them out. And I think that's great for the level in the league.
What about Grimsby this weekend? They sort of had two very different spells, haven't they? Running away with the league by about the end of October, and then since then it's almost like dropped off a cliff in terms of results. What have you made of them?
Yeah, I mean, they're still a strong team. This morning I watched the game away at Wrexham. Really tight game. It was 1-0 to Wrexham, but there wasn't much in it really. They went away from home, obviously, to a very strong side, and they were a little bit unlucky not to come away with something. So I think in some of the games, and I watched their game against Halifax that was on BT Sport not long ago. Thought Grimsby were excellent, but again, they only got a draw out of the game. So I don't necessarily think it's reflective on their performance. I think probably some of their performances have been better than the results, but you get one or two bad results, and that sometimes carries away and changes the narrative a little bit. They will probably not. They'll probably say there was games at the start, maybe they won that maybe could have been a draw, and now they've had a couple of draws that maybe they could have won, so it's levelled out a little bit for them, but I still think they're a strong team and a very well organised team.
They'll bring a big crowd with them as well, over 2,000 with them, going to make a nice big crowd inside Meadow Lane, I think probably 9,000 plus. Yeah,
I think these are great games. Every time we had Stockport and Wrexham that came and brought fantastic followings, and I think that then the supporters are almost playing off each other and the atmosphere becomes really good. So we really look forward to obviously having a lot of away support in here, because I also think it then has a knock on to our home support as well, and it creates a great atmosphere. So we look forward to these sort of games where the crowd's much bigger.
And also, of course, this game is now going to be the one the club dedicate to Colin Slater, the game against Barnet the other night, having been called off. I know you didn't know him personally, but you were there at the funeral the other day. I'd known him 20 years. I learnt an awful lot about him that day.
Yeah.
And I guess you've become a bit more aware over the last couple of weeks as to the influence that he had on the club and the whole county, really. Yeah,
I mean, like you say, you learn. I learnt so much even just at the funeral the other day, which was a great testament for him, and there were so many good stories that were coming out, and you just had to look at the kind of roll of honour and the sort of things that he'd achieved, and it's remarkable, really. And obviously Notts was really at the heart of that. So yeah, it was sad that we didn't get to have that pay our respects in the Barnet game, but I know that the club will make a great effort this weekend.
Great, Ian. Thank you very much indeed.
No problem.
Lovely. That's perfect. Thank you. I'll leave you to Mo. Go on, Mo.
Top man.
Hello again, Ian.
Hi, Mo.
It's been a while since your last home game. How good is it to be back in front of the fans again?
Yeah, really good. I mean, it's strange. It's over a month since the last league game at home, and that feels like a long time. Too long, really. So no, we're happy to be back in front of the crowd, and now we get a rhythm of games, Saturday, Tuesday, and I think that's good for us. I think we need that now.
Last week, you guys were in a bit of a winning run, and you drew to Wilson, you lost to Bromley. Does that kind of remind you how fast football is? How fast football works. One week you're winning all these games, the next week you're kind of drawing and losing.
Yeah. 1 week you're really clever, good coach, and then the next week you're not. But it's small margins, If you take the Grimsby game as a reference point, I thought we played away at Grimsby. It was a really difficult game. Could have been a draw, but we scored late on, and suddenly it was an amazing away performance. And against Bromley, where we didn't score with the opportunities, and they score from a set piece, and it's terrible. I don't think that Grimsby was amazing, and I don't think Bromley was terrible. I think they're somewhere in between, and it's just the small margins. So we're not too despondent with the last week. We're a bit disappointed, but we know we're not far away, so we've just got to work really hard to get a good performance against Grimsby.
You guys are in 8th, and Grimsby are in 10th. Do you see this game as kind of like an essential game for the promotion hunt?
think every game is. I think every game is going to be important now. I think we'll sit here and we'll play this one and then Barnet, and then the next one that comes around we'll talk about the importance. I only think the importance of each game will increase the closer to the end of the season that you get. So it's really important. But we'll play this game and there'll be a new one, and we'll say exactly the same thing. So I think they're all going to be really important.
As previously mentioned, Colin Slater's memorial game. Is he somebody that you met in person before?
No, I didn't have the privilege to meet him, sadly. Obviously, when I arrived at the club, we were in the height of COVID, so it was very difficult to meet. I didn't meet many people at all, to be honest, affiliated with the club. But certainly, when I arrived, there was talk about Colin, and he left quite a legacy around the football club. So certainly, I've learnt a lot about him since I've been here.
How important is it for the club to make sure that he's remembered?
Yeah, I think that Colin and I think anybody that has had such an affiliation with the club, you want to be able to honour that in the right moment. So it's our opportunity to do that this weekend for Colin. We want to do that firstly, of course, with the crowd and show our respects that way, and then hopefully the players can also do the same on the pitch and put on a good performance.
Some of the players were at the funeral. What do you think they took away from being there and kind of experiencing it?
I think sometimes when you step outside of the bubble of training and playing, that you see what just so before the funeral procession came through the stadium and a lot of fans turned up, which was amazing to see, and then you can see the volume of people that arrived at the funeral. I think you can see what a profound impact somebody can have within a football club, and the players have that opportunity to also create legacy and have a profound impact on and off the pitch. And I think when you see somebody that's had that impact, it's very inspiring for the players. So I guess they take away how big the club is, how important it is to people, and what impact also maybe they can have with their own role within the football club.
Are you quite happy that now you get quite a good run of games, Saturday, Tuesday kind of playing, because how games were being cancelled before?
Yeah, really happy. I mean, we were very frustrated with the lack of games over the Christmas period, so I don't mind to see Saturday, Tuesday now for a good few weeks. I think we've got the squad, everybody's fit and healthy, so we're absolutely ready to attack a busy period now.
A couple of days ago, you mentioned that the team didn't need another striker. Do you still stand by that?
Well, we have really good strikers. We have Ruben who's got 8 goals. We've got Carl Wotton's got 12 goals. We've got Cal Roberts who's got 8 goals. So we scored a lot of goals with the attacking players. So I think we have good quality, and we don't detract from that because we've had a couple of games where maybe we haven't created the volume of chances that we should have done for them. So we have a lot of quality within the squad. It's more about making sure that we're creating the right opportunities for the strikers.